didn't hear me. I was saying thank you very much, Mr. Craig. Thank you.
Right.
I was muted when I was speaking.
That's all right, sir. Ladies and gents, the meeting will commence in 2 minutes' time. Welcome to Merit Toastmasters Club.
Good afternoon, Toastmaster Craig.
Toastmaster Daphne.
I'm just making sure that I can be heard.
Of course, your audio is as clear as crystal.
Great,
Welcome
great.
to Merit Toastmasters Club.
Thank you.
Right, fellow Toastmasters, friends and guests, it is 4 p.m. here in Nigeria. My name is Craig Esofode. I'm the Vice President of Education of Merit Toastmasters Club. And today I am standing or stepping into the breach of our club's Sergeant at Arms. I'd like to welcome you all formally to Merit Toastmasters Club. It belongs to Area 19, Division F of the Toastmasters District 94. Before we commence the meeting, I'd like to recognize the presence of our guests, our members from across the world, leaders of our district, leaders of our division who are present on the call today. We are going to first and foremost commence the meeting with the national anthem. Thereafter, we shall recite the Toastmasters Pledge of Allegiance. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to recite the Toastmasters, the national anthem from here now. I pledge Nigeria, my country, to be faithful, loyal, and honest, to serve Nigeria with all my strength, to defend her unity and uphold her honor and glory, so help me God. Fellow Toastmasters, friends and guests, at this juncture, we are going to recite the Toastmasters Pledge of Allegiance. If you are a member, then I would assume that you're quite familiar with the routine. You can join me with your microphone switched off, and if you are a guest, you can relax and listen. As a member of Toastmasters International and my club, I promise to attend club meetings regularly to prepare all of my projects to the best of my ability, basing them on the Toastmasters education program, to prepare for and fulfill meeting assignments, to provide fellow members with helpful, constructive evaluations, to help the club maintain the positive, friendly environment necessary for all members to learn and grow, to serve my club as an officer when called upon to do so, to treat my fellow club members and our guests with respect and courtesy, to bring guests to club meetings so they can see the benefits Toastmasters membership offers, to adhere to the guidelines and rules for all Toastmasters education and recognition programs, to act within Toastmasters core values of integrity, respect, service, and excellence during the conduct of all Toastmasters activities. Ladies and gents, before I relinquish control of the spotlight to the president to share his inspirational insights, I feel obliged to inform you that a Toastmasters meeting is comprised of multidimensional individuals from around the world, and we would love the meeting discussions to avoid topics centered around political beliefs, religious affiliations, and sexual orientation. Ladies and gentlemen, I will now relinquish control to the president to share his inspirational remarks. Who is the president of Merit Toastmasters Club? To the best of my perspicacity, he is a writer and communications consultant. He began his Toastmasters journey in 2013. Isn't that fascinating? Today, he is the president of Merit Toastmasters Club and the club growth director too of Division F, District 94. Join me with a rapturous, rousing round of applause to welcome to the spotlight our club's president, distinguished Toastmaster Kubi Uyanga.
Thank you very much, our ad hoc sergeant at arms, for both calling the meeting to order so professionally and for that very rousing introduction. Thank you. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to this first meeting of Merit Toastmasters Club, Ikeja, the first in the month of February. I'd like to welcome everyone, the guests. I can see Joyce, I can see Daphne, I can see Onyebuchi, I can see Rosalind, and I don't know any other guests that we have on the call today, but one thing that you must know that we are always happy to have guests amongst us, and we always give them an opportunity to speak at the end of the meeting. But before then, if you're a guest, can you just drop a G in the chat room? Let's see if we have up to 5 guests on the call right now. If you're joining us for the very first time, we'd like to see that G in the chat room. Let's go. Wonderful, wonderful. Can see a G from Emily, and we'll move on. Before we move on, I'd like to, of course, announce and celebrate our charter president's birthday. Dr. Abayomi Ayeshimoju DTM has completed another trip around the sun, and we are very grateful that he is one of us. Now we move on to the theme of the meeting: never give up. 3 names: J.K. Rowling, Tyler Perry, Oprah Winfrey. What joins them together? They all faced a concatenation of disappointments earlier on in life before they made success. J.K. Rowling, she was divorced at the point. She was on government aid at the point. At the point, she could not even afford to feed her baby. But today, she is that famed author of the Harry Potter series and a billionaire to boot. Tyler Perry was physically abused, sexually abused as a child, and actually attempted suicide twice. How about today? A very, very successful entertainer. In fact, in 2011, Forbes listed him as the highest paid man in entertainment. Oprah Winfrey had to deal with teenage pregnancy, and all through her early career, she had to deal with so many criticisms about her race, about her age, about her weight. But how about today? She is that billionaire owner of her own network, the Oprah Winfrey Network. And what's the message there for all of us today? There is no human being who hasn't faced setbacks, no human being who hasn't been discouraged. All of us have been discouraged at some point, faced setbacks at some point. So we can cast our minds to these people and know that if we never give up, we will always push through. And that's the message for you this evening. Now on to the meeting. which shall be handled by perhaps one of the most skillful moderators in Division F. I have to introduce him so that he takes over from me. Our Toastmaster of the day is an English doctor, a speaking coach, and a children's teacher. He is the Vice President Education of Merit Toastmasters Club. And very interestingly, he's a 2021 District 94 evaluation champ. Please, with a rousing applause, of course, with your microphones muted, but with those emojis dancing around the screen, let's welcome our Toastmaster for the meeting, Toastmaster Craig O. Isode.
Mr. President, thank you most graciously for the kind hospitality of your introduction. And I would like to join you to wish our father and mentor, distinguished Toastmaster Abayomi Aishimoju, a happy Nato Litio Day. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to serve as the moderator of today's meeting. And I am in a state of mystical bliss to inform you that today's meeting is going to culminate in an enchanting learning episode because we have something exceptional in the offing. For those of you who are new members and our guests alike, permit me to assert that Toastmasters began its journey on the 22nd of October 1924. And over the veil of years, the institution has helped millions of individuals around the world to master the mystique of public speaking, communication, and leadership proficiency. It is paramount for me to assert that a Toastmasters meeting is structured into, you know how many segments? 3 segments: table topics, prepared speeches, and evaluation, which is a jewel in the crown. Having said that, today we're not going to have table topics. We're going to have a speech review of Verity Price, a great read from the World Championship of Public Speaking. That's going to be a masterclass in speech writing and speech delivery skills. Ladies and gentlemen, at this juncture, I would like to relinquish control to our joke master to give us a joke. It's just all right. I can see she's on the call at the moment. Ladies and gentlemen, I am pleased as punch to inform you our joke master is the Vice President of Membership of Merit Toastmasters Club. Guess what? She is described as Dr. Love, and she's someone who has a palpable predilection for all-round wellness. Ladies and gentlemen, with a thunderous round of applause, please join me to welcome to the spotlight our jovial joke master, Toastmaster Ebun Demelda.
Good afternoon. Okay. Thank you very much, Toastmaster today. I don't know if I'm audible. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
No one can hear you.
Okay, first of all, let me quickly also say happy birthday to our very wonderful, amiable, very distinguished. I think if I go on and on, maybe I would have spent so much of my time. Happy birthday, sir.
Thank you very much.
Yes. So I know it's a couple of days away from a very, very popular holiday. We will call it a holiday, but a very popular celebrated day. I don't know if anyone can quickly tell me. There's a lot of red in the air. I don't know if anybody wants to tell me what's going on very soon. Anybody?
I think you're talking about Valentine's.
Yes, so it's Valentine's Day coming up. Yes, and I'm sure For some people who are already in relationships, this is like a wonderful time. For others who are probably still finding love, this may not be so much of a nice time, but we hope eventually everybody finds love. So I'm going to quickly just talk about some the worst pickup lines I've ever heard. I don't know if anyone, some men sometimes, or women, we have very funny pickup lines. So I'll just quickly talk about a couple that I've heard. So like one is, are you my appendix? Now, I don't know what you do or how you work, but I feel that I should take you out. Another very, very funny but awful pickup line will be, somebody should call the cops, but because I think you look so beautiful and it's got to be illegal to look that good. Now, there's this one about, so for women, you know, there was this day, this young lady went to a psychiatrist and she was talking to the psychiatrist that she's educated, she's doing very well for herself, and she doesn't think she needs a husband. And the psychiatrist said, oh, wow, are you sure about that? Because, you know, there will be times in your life you probably would feel ill, things will not go as planned, and you know, you will achieve some things that you've always wanted to achieve. And then, so the psychiatrist then asked her, so when things are not going your way, basically, who are you going to blame? Would you blame yourself? And she said, no, of course, but I'm not blaming myself. And the secretary said, of course, you see, that's why you probably need a husband. And for the husbands in the house, I'm sure there are times you've been told, do not argue with your wife, because whatever you say, she's obviously most of the time going to be right. So we hope that as people get ready for this beautiful day of Valentine's Day, there's a lot of love that will be shared. And it's not be one-sided, hopefully women, because we women sometimes, we just like to be on the receiving end. I don't know if I'm speaking for the men in the house today. So if you've not gotten anything yet, women, there's some very, very affordable things you can give to your spouse or your lover to just make them feel happy. And I think that's where I'm going to draw the curtain on today's segment of jokes. I'm still trying to, you know, get my jokes ready so that one of these days I'll invite you to a night of 1,000 laughs, every live on stage. So thank you. Have a beautiful, beautiful rest of the segment. Toastmasters.
Right, many thanks for that. Mr. Zoom Master, please. Ogunleye Joyce, can you kindly switch off your microphone? The Zoom Master, please keep an eye on the microphones, because our power of concentration will determine our quality of learning. We need reasonable tranquility as a foundational premise of learning, particularly on an online platform like this. The Joke Master, thank you very kindly for that joke. Many thanks for that. And I can equally see everyone in red. Please, if you can switch on your video, that would make the gallery view appear more pleasantly beautiful. I would appreciate that. I want to see you in your red color. I can see Emily Galvez. You're smiling beatifically over there. Welcome to our club. I can see Francis as well. Many thanks for that. Many thanks for that. If you can switch on your video, that would make the gallery view pleasantly beautiful, please. Many thanks for that. Ladies and gentlemen, now we are going to go to the next recipe on the agenda, which is for us to be familiar with those that will be playing functionary roles over the course of the meeting experience. And in the phraseology of Toastmasters, this individual is known as the general evaluator. Ladies and gentlemen, I am cock-a-hoop to inform you that our general evaluator for today's meeting is a strategically minded finance expert. She's a chartered banking and management professional. She began a journey in 2016 and she has served with unparalleled distinction in leadership capacities under the aegis of Toastmasters. Ladies and gentlemen, this lady is the current Director, Division F, District 94. I present to you our General Evaluator, a multiple Triple Crown Award recipient, and a distinguished Toastmaster, Chidi Chukwudimadu.
Thank you most graciously, the Toastmaster of the Day, Toastmaster Craig. Good evening, Merit Toastmasters Club.
Evening.
I'm happy to be here. Let me join the League of Well Wishers to say a happy birthday to our daddy in the house, distinguished Toastmaster Abayomi Ayeshimoju. I'm on the queue so that when the cake starts going round, I will get my own portion of the cake right where I am. Just like the Toastmaster of the Day had mentioned, the Toastmasters meeting has 3 segments. So welcome to part of segment number 1. I would serve as the general evaluator today, and my duty is to evaluate the entirety of today's meeting. My task had already started, but then I would not be carrying out this function alone. I have a team of dashing young men and delectable young women who will support me to ensure that every aspect of this meeting is evaluated. The first member of my team whom I would want to introduce is the timer. And today our timer is intending Toastmaster Gabriel. Toastmaster Gabriel Ejitoko. He is a communication coach, a teacher trainer, and an elocutionist. He is a Fulbright scholar and a doctoral student. Gabriel is the president of Harmony Toastmasters Club all the way in Ilorin, and today he will serve as the timer. Gabriel, when you have the virtual lectern, please go ahead and introduce your role.
Thank you very much, DTM Chidi. Thank you for that wonderful introduction. Today I'll be serving, good evening, Toastmasters and guests. Today I'll be serving as a timer. I will make sure that everybody adhere to the stipulated time, frame of time that is allotted to them, especially when we're looking at the prepared speech. Each speaker will have 5 to 7 minutes to speak. When it is 5 minutes, I will show the green card. And when it is 5 minutes, I will show the green card. When it's 6 minutes, I will show the amber card. And when it is 7 minutes, I will show the red card. And then when we are having the analysis, I will show amber and red for those that may not use their time appropriately. That will be my duty today. Thank you. Take it away.
Thank you most graciously, Toastmaster Gabriel. Can you please give us a sample description of how you'll be sharing the cards? Will you use a physical card or will you be using your background to display the timing card?
I would use this. Can you see my screen?
Awesome.
Not yet.
Right, it's coming up. For our speakers, please be informed that our timer will share his screen and display the timing cards.
Can we all see my screen?
No.
Oh, okay.
Sure. Thank you very kindly, Toastmaster Gabriel.
You're welcome, DTM.
Fellow Toastmasters and guests, the next member of my team I would want to introduce today is the grammarian. Our grammarian for this evening is distinguished Toastmaster Kubi Uyanga, a writer and communications consultant. He is the president of Mary Toastmasters Club and also serves as a club director too for Division F. Toastmaster Kubi, you have the virtual lectern.
Thank you very kindly, my division director and general evaluator for the meeting. Ladies and gentlemen, grammar is very important in communication. It determines how interesting you sound, how effective you sound, and how compelling that your presentation might be. And that is why in Toastmasters meetings, we always have this functionary called the grammarian to take note of those very beautiful phrases and use of rhetorical devices and point them out so that we can repeat them. And if there are some usages of English grammar which are not so flowery, also point them out and recommend, according to his or her knowledge, what could be better. So that would be my role today in this meeting. And aside from that, I will also be the sentinel for the word of the day. I will introduce the word of the day if the master is so kind to hear it, so every other person can see what the word of the day is. For today, our word is accord. The word of the day is accord. Accord is a verb. It's a word that has a number of applications, but for this meeting, we are going to focus on form of the word. It's a verb which means to give or to grant someone power, status, or recognition. And the second meaning could be of a concept or a fact to be harmonious or consistent with. An example of this word used in a sentence could be the audience accorded him a rapturous welcome. Synonyms of this word include grant, award, or render. So, ladies and gentlemen, I encourage everyone to accord this word of the day the attention that it needs throughout this meeting, throughout next week, and of course, throughout July. At the end of the meeting, when the general evaluator invites me back, I will give a report on our grammar usage and how well that we constructed our sentences to include the word of the day, accord. Back to you, Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you most graciously, Toastmaster Craig, or distinguished Toastmaster Kubi Uyanga. I seem to love the name Toastmaster Craig this evening. And thank you for that word of the day. We'll certainly ensure that we accord the word of the day accord and use it in our meetings this evening. Why? Right, that's the word of the day being displayed by the Zoom master. Please take note of it and try to incorporate it into your speaking this evening. Fellow Toastmasters and guys, the next member of my team is the R counter. And today, our R counter is a neurologist and homeopathic health consultant. He is the charter president of Merit Toastmasters Club and the past district director of District 94. Incidentally, he is the birthday boy in the meeting this evening. Please join me to welcome to the virtual lectern, distinguished Toastmaster Abayomi Ayeshimojo, as he introduces his role.
Thank you very much for your very kind introduction, Madam General Evaluator. Can you hear me, everybody? Good. As our counter, I'm going to be carrying out one of the functions that have been introduced to our meetings in Toastmasters to help us learn to speak in a fluent way without breaking what we're saying unnecessarily. When we speak, we actually are expressing our thoughts. If we think ahead well as we speak, we shall be able to produce smooth sentences, express complete ideas without breaking in the middle to make sounds like or sometimes to inject words that are really inappropriate where we put them, such as and, well, but, you know. Or you just have a long pause as you speak because you are trying to think about what to say next. This evening, I'm going to be listening very attentively to everybody who speaks, and I'll be on the lookout for anyone who does not allow his or her speech to flow. It's what we call ours. I hope I won't catch anybody, but if I catch you, I would only point it out so you can improve next time. Thank you very much, Madam General Manager.
Thank you most graciously, distinguished Toastmaster Abayomi. Well, my next team member for today's meeting is the quiz master. And our quiz master for this evening is a retired businesswoman. She's a doting grandmother and the treasurer of Mary Toastmasters Club. Fellow Toastmasters and guests, join me to welcome to the virtual lectern, Toastmaster Lucy Chima, as she introduces her role.
Thank you so kindly, Madam General Evaluator. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and distinguished guests. It is the past president, one of the past presidents of the United States of America that said, if you are not listening, you are not learning. During the course of this evening's meeting, I'm going to listen attentively to anybody who comes out to the lantern to talk. And I will also implore you to do the same. At the end of this segment, while called upon to give my report, I will ask you 1, 2, 3 questions to determine your listening ability. The General Evaluator.
Thank you most graciously, Toastmaster Chima, Master Lucy. Wow, fellow Toastmasters and guests, here you have it. My team members have all introduced their roles, and we will come back at the end of the meeting at the request of the Toastmaster of the day to give evaluations on how today's meeting has fared. And be sure that myself and my team members will accord a performance the evaluation that it deserves this evening. So sit back, relax, and enjoy today's meeting. Toastmaster Craig, Toastmaster of the day, you have control of the virtual lecture.
Madam Division Director, thank you very much. Let's accord the Division Director and her team members a thumbs up for that, Madam Didi. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to commence the first item of the meeting right now. Before that, I have a game. I have a visual aid here. It's a box. There is something in this box. If you can guess with scientific accuracy what I have in this box, then I will give you 2,000 Naira worth of recharge card right after this meeting. This is something that I keep in my bathroom, my living room, my library, my kitchen, my sitting room. What is in this box? You can send your answers to the chat box. Right, are you ready? Are you ready for the first segment now? If you are ready, please give me the thumbs up like this, everyone. Thank you very kindly for that. Many thanks for that. Now we're going to listen to speeches now from the Pathways Learning Experience. And the speakers would be presenting from the visual communication path. Our first speaker is Toastmaster Val Adenu Adaobi. Toastmaster Lucy Chima, your microphone is on, ma'am. Can you kindly switch it off? Toastmaster Lucy Chima, your microphone is on. Many thanks for that. Our first speaker is Toastmaster Val Adenu Adaobi. She'll be speaking from the Visionary Communication Path. It's a level 1, project 2 speech assignment. And Her oration would be evaluated by Toastmaster Abubakar Gimbar. He is the Vice President of Education of Lighthouse Prestige Toastmasters Club. And speaking professionally, he is our project manager. Toastmaster Gimbar, what is the central theme of this speech assignment?
Thank you so much, Mr. Toastmaster of the day. Good afternoon, fellow Toastmasters and guests, and especially good afternoon to Toastmaster Val. Toastmaster Val will be speaking today from level 1, project 2 rather, and this is her second speech. The purpose of this project is for the member to present a speech on any topic, receive feedback, and apply the feedback to a second speech. Now, the purpose of this particular speech is for the member to demonstrate that he or she has applied the feedback received from his or her first speech. That implies that Toastmaster Val had spoken before, had received an evaluation, and now she would speak again, incorporating that evaluation. Fortunately, I was the evaluator for the first speech, which means I would evaluate this one according to the benchmark received at the first speech, and I look forward to an amazing speech from Toastmaster Val today. Thank you.
Many thanks, Toastmaster Abubakar Gimbar. Ladies and gentlemen, our first speaker is a civil servant. She began a Toastmasters journey last year, and she's someone who has enormous proclivity for excellence. Guess what? Here is something fascinating about her biographical sketch. She revels in listening to music and cooking. Her speech title is The Value of Identity. The Value of Identity. I present to you speaker number 1, Toastmaster Valadinu Adaobi.
Thank you, the Toastmaster. Good day, fellow Toastmasters and esteemed guests. Do you know who you are? What do others know about you? These are questions most people struggle to answer. A songwriter, Asaph Ferg, said, "I was born alone. I'm gonna die alone. I have my own identity. I'm my own person, and no two people are the same." Sometimes I imagine how boring the world would have been if we were all the same. Truly, everyone with their own identity is what makes the world beautiful. The title of my speech is The Value of Identity. My name is Val Adinu Lovett Adaobi. I have my own identity, and it's my strength. Naturally, we tend to fit in with the crowd, but if we stay too long on that, we might start to lose our identity. Remember, your identity is unlike anyone else because you have been created to stand out. There are reasons why we value our identity, but let me share two. Firstly, it strengthens character, it builds confidence, and it makes us emerge as stronger individuals. Secondly, it keeps us unique and separates us from the crowd. Identity emerges from within. Some people struggle with finding and understanding their identity, while others don't. Some people might be considered privileged because of their family name, which is valuable and powerful as an identity. In my teenage years, I allowed the opinions of people drown my inner voice. I often walked back the memory lane. I had a friend named Choma, and Choma was my very good friend. We were very close.
About 80 to 90% of our decisions came from trauma. On the surface, it seemed normal. It seemed very okay. But my inner voice, my voice was subdued. Over time, I started discovering myself and challenged her decisions in order to affirm my voice. But it led to a disagreement. It led to disagreement between both of us. Thereafter, I started gaining strength, courage, and developing to become a woman of value. Indeed, I was determined to make impressive efforts and stand out. No matter what problems we face in life, if we try to be the person others want us to be, we will never get to be who we really are. Everybody should be proud of who they are and not be afraid to express themselves. Identity relates to self-esteem, self-image, and it evolves over the course of our lives. Borrowing the words of Brent Brown, what we know matters, but who we are matters more. We must rise to the challenge of identifying who we are by strengthening our character, building our confidence, and emerging as stronger individuals. Toastmasters and esteemed guests, everyone has an identity, and that makes us unique and separates us from the crowd. I want everyone to understand that our identity is one of our most valuable possessions. Remember, discovering your identity paves the way for self-development and a better you. It might take time. Yes, it might take time and definitely effort, but it's never too late to define who you are. Thank you, Toastmaster.
Thank you most graciously. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give her a round of applause. Right, many thanks, Toastmaster Adinu, Val Adinu Loveth Adalbi. I accord enormous importance to your piece of rhetoric. Be proud of who you are. Discovering who we are will pave the way for a self-development. Thank you very kindly. Those were the memorable lines of your speechcraft, in my view. Many thanks for that. Fellow Toastmasters, friends and guests, we are now going to transition to the second speaker who will be presenting from the visionary communication path as well. All the way from the Caribbean island, Montserrat. Aha, the primary stress is on the last syllable. Montserrat. Toastmaster Daphne Falong. And this speech would be evaluated by Toastmaster Emily Galvez, who is the Vice President, Public Relations of Manhasset, Port Washington, Toastmasters Club, United States of America. Toastmaster Emily Galvez, what is the purpose statement of this speech project?
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Craig, fellow Toastmasters, and of course, distinguished guests. Today, I will be evaluating Daphne's speech, and the objective of this speech, again, is from the Visionary Project Communication Path, Level 2, Project 1. And here, I will be looking for identifying a primary leadership style of Daphne. The purpose of the speech is for the member to share some of her aspects of being a leader. Now, it doesn't have to be spoken in any particular style. There are 3 particular styles that could be dictated. We have informal, humorous, and whichever way Daphne would like to present her leadership style. So with that, I will make my evaluation, and I look forward to listening to Daphne speak. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Emily Galvez, many thanks for that. Fellow Toastmasters, friends, and our distinguished guests, who is Toastmaster Daphne Falong? She's an educator and an accountant. She believes that our ability to speak and interact well with the people around us is the most critical skill that we possess. From the context of Toastmasters, Toastmaster Daphne Falong is the incumbent president of MNI Toastmasters Club, Montserrat, the Caribbean island. The title of her speech is The Accidental Leader. The Accidental Leader. I present to you, ladies and gentlemen, speaker number 2, Toastmaster Daphne Falong.
Tag, you're it. They were happily going along, content to just help out and not be the one at the helm. Then wham, they were gone and I was in charge. Right at this moment, something similar is happening to people all around the world. They're getting tapped on the shoulder and they're being told, starting now, you are going to be in charge of. Toastmasters and guests. Do you know who these people are? They are accidental leaders. In his book entitled The Accidental Leader, Harvey Robbins says, accidental leaders are more the rule in this era than the non-accidental leader, corn-fed, MBA-prepared leaders of yesterday. Now, who here wants to be a leader? Just raise your hands. Okay, I see a few persons, but I never wanted to be accorded the title of leader. I was content just being a contributor and hiding out in the shadows. Then I joined the Toastmasters. Not to become a leader, but to become a better communicator and speaker. However, the side effects soon caught up with me and I became more confident, spoke up more, and alas, was thrust into leadership. At the time, something inside me was screaming, "Duck, run, hide!" But I had grown too much. Even though leading anyone or anything was the last thing on my mind, I could no longer duck, run, and hide. My first encounter with leadership was in summer 2016 when I joined a pre-charter Toastmasters Club in Tottenham, London. The 2 club sponsors got pulled away by work commitments and family engagements. Because I was older and more experienced, I was called to step up. The group was small, so I focused on 3 things. The first, building the skills of the members of the club by conducting workshops and bringing in Toastmasters from other clubs. And this was meant to demonstrate best practice. Second, by charting and celebrating each member's progress and challenging them to become better than they were. And thirdly, by building a positive culture and high morale within the club. we gave ourselves the title of friendliest club in London, and we became known as a just that. Now, all this time, I never knew that this was a specific style of leadership. I just did what I felt was needed. Now, who knows what leadership style I was using then? Does anyone know? Well, according to Toastmasters International, it's the coaching style. Who knew? Now, fast forward to 2019. I'm now living in Montserrat. And again, I'm thrust into leadership. But this time, I don't need to be dragged kicking and screaming. I go willingly. Again, it's your Toastmasters Club. Now this time, which leadership style do you think I will use? Will it be democratic, or coaching, or authoritative, or will I be bureaucratic? Perhaps a better question to ask is, which style do you think would be least effective? And if you thought it, yes, it's the bureaucratic style. Now, my preferred style of leadership is democratic. I'm really comfortable allowing others to sometimes take the lead. I believe in consensus when it comes to decision making. And I think allowing opportunities for participation is ideal. I believe that when others excel, it's a good reflection on me as a leader, because the only way for others to grow is through participation. Now, I'm aware that this is not always appropriate in every situation. So I use a combination of democratic, coaching, and authoritative when it's needed. Authoritative. When do I use authoritative? Now, because I am the only person with experience of Toastmasters, it meant that I was the one who had to set the vision for the club and specific steps that we were going to take to get there. In that instance, I then used authoritative to decide where we were going and how we were going to get there. Coaching. When it came to coaching, each member of the club needed to understand what they needed to do. And so I used coaching in this instance to try and get each member up to speed with what they needed to be able to do. Now, tag, you are it. It happens everywhere. You may be the next accidental leader. How will you handle it? Will you run and hide? Or will you be dragged kicking and screaming? Or will you step up confidently? I challenge you to use every opportunity you can in your Toastmasters Club to become a better leader, because the world needs better leaders. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
All right. Don't you think she deserves a round of applause? Let's give her a round of applause, please. Right. Daphne, many thanks for this informational or informative speech. There was a particular line in the speech which you delivered with enchanting sophistication. The only way for others to grow is through participation. That's a memorable line. Many thanks for that. Now, what we're going to do is to go straight to the timekeeper's scorecard. We're supposed to have a third speech, but the third speaker has just informed me that he will not be available to deliver that speech anymore. Consequently, we should go straight to the timekeeper's report. Afterward, we will glide gracefully and graciously into the speech review segments. The timekeeper, how did the speakers perform with respect to time control?
Thank you very much, Mr. Toastmaster of the Day. The two speakers performed well, delivered good speeches. TM Val spoke for 5 minutes, 30 seconds, which means she's eligible to be voted for. TM Duffin spoke for 6 minutes, 30 seconds. She is also eligible to be voted for. Here is my report. These are Toastmasters of the day. Thank you.
All right, so many thanks for the military precision of your report. The Trophy Master, please, can you launch the poll so that we can vote for either of the speakers, please? We shall take a minute to do that. Remember, I have something in my box. If you can guess what it is, I will give you 2,000 Naira worth of recharge card right after this meeting. Send your answer to the chat box. Has everyone voted? If you voted, please, can you give me, raise your hand or put up your hand if you voted already. Oh, okay. Oh, that's coruscatingly brilliant. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we're now going to move or transition to the speech review segment. Let me provide some educational context before I play you the video. The speech that we're going to listen to now won the World Championship of Public Speaking on the 28th of August, 2021. The speech transcript is comprised of 840 words. The speech title is A Great Read. And who is the speaker? The world champion, Verity Price, a South African from Cape Town. We will watch this speech, and when we return, we will collectively and constructively review the speech. And the objective is for us to learn vital and valuable skills that can help us master speech writing and speech delivery. Are you ready for that? Are you ready for that? By the way, the duration of this speech is 7 minutes, 11 seconds. Let's watch it. All right, if you can see my screen, please write Y in the chat box. If you can see my screen, you can write a Y in the chat box if you can. Brilliant. Right, brilliant. Many thanks for that. And let's watch it.
Contestant number 4, Verity Price. A great read. A great read, Verity Price.
When I was a little girl, I used to love snuggling on my dad's lap while he read me fairy tales. Not surprisingly, I grew up wanting the fairy tale. To be happily married with beautiful kids, a gorgeous home, and a great career by 30. I never dreamed I would turn 40, unmarried, no children, and living in my sister and brother-in-law's spare room. For my ego, this was a scary tale. So I hid in the spare room, eating ice cream and binge watching Netflix. Pontius Chair, have you ever noticed that at your worst, you always run into someone at their best? I had dragged myself to the shops just to get more ice cream, thinking no one I know is going to be there. But there she was, that friend. You know the one, Their life is perfect. And they tell you. Here I am, hand on fridge, stuck, having to hear how happily ever after she has ended up. Are you married with kids and your own business? And you bought a house. Me? Great. I wanted to die. I was a mess. My life was a mess. The spare room was a mess. But this was the mess where I found the last letter my dad ever wrote me. Seeing his familiar handwriting just flooded me with grief. Verity, your life is a book. And if you're not enjoying the read, write a different story. And then watch for a miracle, because I'm watching too. I shout at miracles, Dad, and how? How do I write a different story about this? To prove my point, I went to Facebook. And you guessed it, there were no stories of miserable 40-year-olds living in spare rooms. But the letter just lay there. It was like it was looking at me, almost whispering, write a different story. If anyone could write a different story, it was my dad. He wasn't a glass half full guy. He was a, aren't I lucky I've got a glass guy. When Dad was 60, he lost his job. We lost our home, and we had to live in a camper van. But the story Dad told was, we get to live like we're on holiday. He never complained that he'd gone from a corner office to selling insurance, door to door. Instead, the story he told was, I'm working on my sales skills. And the miracle that happened, Dad was Salesman of the Year, and he bought us a new home. And even in our last phone call, on his way to hospital, do you know what he said to me? Don't worry, V. You know I love breakfast in bed. Shame hit me like a bus. My whole life, Dad had been showing me how to write a different story. So I picked up my pen. I looked at that friend and I thought, 40 is going to be my best chapter. I looked at the spare room and thought, this is my safe place to start over. I looked at my love life, and do you know what I thought? I have got to stop kissing frogs. When I wrote a different story, my life began to change. I went from feeling shameful to feeling grateful. And for the first time, I stopped worrying about where I wasn't. And I started enjoying where I was. And the miracle that happened, within 6 months, I'd moved into a new cottage, much to my sister's relief. Within a year, I'd kissed a prince, much to my relief. At 44, I had a baby boy, much to my doctor's disbelief. This letter catapulted me into discovering that it doesn't matter who you are, where you are, what chapter of your life you're in. Something as simple as choosing to write a different story can make difficult circumstances a lot easier to deal with. Now, I think you'll agree with me when I say the last 2 years have been a rough read for us all. But we've also written different stories, ones where neighbors get to serenade each other and businesses get to pivot and innovate. And my all-time favorite was that time when we all waved our wands and buppity, buppity, your room turned into an auditorium, and mine, an international stage. My fellow storytellers, do you know what I've learned? Fairy tales are great to read. To my son, real life is full of detours, delays, things that go wrong. But if your life is a book, then every day you get to decide, is your story being written for you or by you? When my dad reminded me that I was the author of my life changed. So if you're looking for a change, you want a new chapter, or you just fancy a miracle, pick up your pen and write a different story. Trust me, it's going to make for a great read. Contest chair.
Ladies and gentlemen, you relish that speech. Let's give a Verity Prize, the current world champion, a round of applause, please. All right, now we are going to begin the review. If you have something to say about the speech, you have a minute or two to make your comments. The timekeeper would flash the cards. When you've spoken for a minute, the timekeeper would indicate the green, 1 minute 30 seconds, the yellow, and then 2 minutes red card. And if you're not stopping, I will interrupt you because we would like to garner as much insights or reflections as possible. And let's use the word of the day, which is accord. Right now, let me share my thoughts. If you want to say something, all you have to do is just to raise your hand and I will call upon you to share your ideas. For me, what I observed was first the resounding climax of the conclusion. If you fancy a miracle, pick up your pen and write a different story. It is going to make for a great read. These words are not only full of hope and encouragement, it's a crystal clear, they are a crystal clear call to action that reinforces the heart of our main message, which is write a different story. It will make for a great read. The second thing I liked about it was the magnificence of her languaging. You observe, she said, shameful to grateful, fairy tale to scary tale, wasn't to was. This linguistically fascinating play on words are cognitively engaging and fascinating too. What do I think that we can do differently to upthrust the impact of this speech? Possibly phrasing, particularly when she said, real life is full of detours, delays, things that go wrong. Perhaps if she had said it like this, it would have been more memorable or impactful. Real life is full of detours, delays, and derailments where things can go wrong. That would have made that construction, that phrasing, memorable and impactful. All right, Daphne DeLong, please offer your insights.
Now the content was good. So I'm not even going to look at the content. For me, delivery. The delivery for me meant everything. Did you look at her body language? For absolutely everything. She had worked out how she was going to use her body. Holding the fridge door. Talking to the person and asking the questions. She used body language so very well. That is something that I think a lot of us can learn from. Using the phone. Every single thing that you could think of, there was body language. Then she used the power of 3. When I started counting, because I realized she was using it so often, I counted 6 times and she did it more than that because it's when I started counting from throughout. And it tells us that that power of 3 is really engaging because it is so very memorable that we could see And then she did not just do that. She used we, mess, you, even in those power of three, which made it so such music to the ears. In terms of getting better, I could not tell. I have to depend on others to tell me where she could possibly have been better. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you most graciously, Daphne. I couldn't agree more. In point of fact, when a word is repeated at the end of successive clauses, it is known to figurative language as epistrophe. An epistrophe is spelled as E-P-I-S-T-R-O-P-H-E, epistrophe. That is the opposite of anaphora. Thank you very kindly for your insights. Let's go straight now to Steve. Steve, you can unmute your microphone and speak now.
All right, Craig. Very surprised. Very smart speaker. She's deployed one of the unique selling points in public speaking, which is storytelling. A gentleman by the name Ali Brown was the one that said that facts tell, but stories sell. So this champion had deployed the power of storytelling, and she masterfully did it very well. The high point of that was the dramatization. You know, the dramatization was epic. She took it into a lot of gestures. The way she was able to use her hands and face, her body, her entire body, face, everything, she brought it to life, and it was like a monologue. It was like a monologue. The monologue is a play by one person. She was able to, characterize it like a monologue and brought the entire story to life. In closing was the fact that it was a happy ending for her. She took to her dad's advice, and today the story is different. It was very inspirational, very motivational, and it's something that every man, every woman should, a speech every man or woman should listen to. And I'm sure it will help you to turn a new page or a new leaf. Big ups to Verity Price. He is indeed a world champion. Thank you.
All right, many thanks, Toastmaster Steve Nolugbenga. I want to agree with you on her storytelling skills. She is a masterful raconteur. I particularly was enthralled by the brilliance of the story setup. You would observe that within 30 seconds, she already established herself as a character in this hero's journey. She established the supporting character of her father. Most significantly, she established the conflict, the problem statement. 40, unmarried, no children, and living in her sister's or brother-in-law's bedroom. That is magnificent storytelling. More, as often as not, speakers would have to spend time on characterization, and they bring the conflict later. But when you have a one single model for a speech, it is vital to bring the conflict early on, and she did that magnificently. Let's go straight now to Nameti Akpan to share his reflections or insights.
Thank you very kindly, Toastmasters of the Day, and thank you, Mary Toastmasters Club, for this very powerful innovation in our Toastmasters meetings. I think it's a powerful one. Well done. For me, what stood out in that speech was one principle which was shared in the January Toastmasters magazine on how to engage your audience. And that was to make the personal universal. Make the personal universal. At that point, she said, for the past 2 years, it's been a rough one for most of us globally, referring to COVID, but then businesses have become innovative. Room here, we've turned our rooms to Zoom spaces for meetings. And then she now has turned her room to an international stage. At that point, she was able to engage all of us, saying that we had all had a way of writing a different story during the pandemic by doing things that we didn't do earlier. So for me, making the personal universal borrows on empathy and helps to connect the audience. That was a powerful high point for me. Over to you, Toastmaster Craig, and thank you.
All right, and I want to thank you very kindly as well for your insights. Record that if you would like to say something, share your insights. What did you relish in that speech? What do you think made that speech shine or made that speech sizzle? What can be done differently to upthrust the mystique of this magnificent speechcraft or piece of rhetoric? Let's go straight to our division director, who's raising her hand with poise and politeness. Chidi Chukudi, madam.
Thank you most graciously, Toastmaster Craig, for according me this opportunity to speak. When you ask what could be done to make that speech better, that's a tall challenge, because she basically ticked the box of a powerful and speaking speech. The high point for me was her opening. She had a catchy opening. It wasn't just catchy. She asked a question, and from the first 30 seconds of her speech, she already had my attention. And she used something that everyone could relate to: fairy tales. She loved to cuddle on her daddy's laps while he read her stories. And the truth is, at some point in time, we were either the recipients of stories or we were the readers. We either had people reading stories to you, or you're now in a position where you have to read stories to the other. But in all, we're all storytellers. And she used one thing that everyone had in his or her arsenal. And she charged us to make use of that and tell our stories how we want our stories to be told. I think for me, her speech, well, it was sensational, and I love that. I love that.
All right, Madam Division Director, many thanks for that. This is what I think that could be done differently to upthrust the impact of this speech. When I'm done, then I will relinquish control to our mother and mentor, who is raising her hand because she would like to speak as well. Our use of the visual aid, the dad's letter, it was visually stimulating, and it brought variation and dimension to the speech organization or speech structure, particularly when she delivered that line. One thing I would recommend is that I would have loved her to show the lettering of the visual aid. I was asking a question, I was having an internal dialogue. Is the lettering handwritten? Is it typed? If she had showed it to the lens, then that would have made the visual aid more tangible, more relatable, and more concrete. That's what I think that could have been done differently with regard to incorporating visual aids to a presentation. Let's go straight to distinguished Toastmaster Monisola Aishi, our mother and mentor, to speak, please.
Yes. Thank you very much, English doctor. The world champion accorded me the opportunity to resonate with our focus for the day: never give up. A powerful engagement, not just with this audience, but with the whole world, to know that today does not say it all. And this brings to my mind the experience which I had as a child, and perhaps many did as well, where I come from, these folk tales where we had once upon a time, in my language, it is said, Niga kono. It looks like whenever you find yourself in a cage, you can always recall within yourself to scoop out the kind of rescue remedy that this lady gave to us this evening through her folk story, that what looks like a story. How can I connect with it? How can I bring it out? How can I use it now to escape and enable it to accord me a journey to happiness and freedom? Thank you.
All right, our mother and mentor, we thank you most graciously for the unbridled wisdom of your evaluation or review. I would equally like to mention that I was magnetized by the universal magnetism of her main message. Your life is a book, and if you're not enjoying the read, write a different story and watch for a miracle. This was a main message. This is something that anyone can apply, regardless of religious affiliations, political beliefs, educational level, sexual orientation. It is universal. This indeed was a speech for an international audience, and I would like to thank Verity Price for her phenomenal oratorical performance. We're now going to segue the meeting to the evaluation segment, ladies and gentlemen. I am in an oasis of supernatural exhilaration to bring back to the lectern somebody who deserves to be accorded utmost respect. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me to welcome back to the spotlight our gregarious, our glamorous, and our gorgeous General Evaluator, distinguished Toastmaster Chidi Chukwudimadu.
Thank you most graciously, Toastmaster Craig, for academic control of the virtual event. At the point, I was wondering, all right, so is there someone else Toastmaster Craig is going to introduce and bring to the virtual event? You know, sometimes when, I mean, the way and the manner you're introduced sometimes makes you feel as though you're floating in the air. And right now, I think I'm actually floating in the air. Thank you for your kind words. Right, evaluation segment. We will commence with the speech evaluations. And our first evaluator for this evening, who will evaluate the speech by Toastmaster Val Adino Adobe. Please join me to welcome to the virtual lectern, Toastmaster Abubakar Gimba. Toastmaster Abubakar, please give us the evaluation.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Madam Didi, the amiable general evaluator. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and guests. I would like to give a special good evening to Toastmaster Val because Toastmaster Val did an amazing job today. I noticed a visible improvement from the last time she spoke till today. For example, Toastmaster Val started with an amazing smile. I love the power of her introduction. I remember the initial time she gave the speech, her introduction was particularly captivating, but today I think there was a bit of an improvement and it was even more captivating than it was. This usually draws in your audience and makes the audience want to listen to what you have to say. It makes them want to anticipate what is going to come. I think you did that wonderfully well. I also loved the fact that she talked about a topic that is actually relatable and very timely. Again, people suffer from identity crisis. People trying to find a pinpoint to who they are or what they are. Right? And I feel like this speech is such a timely speech that sort of pushes us to find out who you are. I also like the fact that Mr. Wild gave this speech while standing up. It means that she is able to draw energy. She's able to take control of the speech. She's also able to deliver a visible gesture. In as much as this speech was awesome, Mr. Val, I feel like there are some things that could have been done better. For instance, I noticed your camera placement is not so optimal. It was below you.
So it's awkward for the audience to look at you. It was absolutely difficult to make out your facial expressions. I noticed you were smiling throughout the speech and you were laughing at some point in time, but I didn't notice you perhaps maybe show a sad face or maybe moderate your facial expressions. So it was difficult for me. I feel if your camera was placed at your height, it would be easy to see you and it would be easier to assimilate your speech. The next thing I noticed was your movement. The movement, you did not stand still. You were sort of moving like this, up and down, up and down. So usually this becomes distracting. Movement on stage is supposed to be purposeful. You move to the left, you move to the right at specific paces, but while you were delivering your speech, I noticed the movement was constant. So at some point in time, it became distracting. Usually when something like this happens, it takes away from your speech. The spice of your message gets taken away in those moments, right? So please take note of this. Then the last thing I noticed was in this speech, there was about 3 conclusions. If you give a powerful point and then you pause, you would expect the speech has come to an end and then you keep on speaking, right? I noticed particularly at some point when you said, if we want to be what everyone else wants us to be, then we can never be who we are. That itself is, I think, was one of the pinnacle of your speeches, and it could have started as a conclusion by itself, and then you paused, but then you kept on talking. So it becomes distracting for the audience. So please take note of this. In summary, I talked about how great your smile is, how wonderful your introduction is, and your gestures. I talked about improving your camera placement, reducing distracting movements, and work on your proposal and conclusion. I look forward to your subsequent speeches. And finally, you've accomplished the objective and you've incorporated the feedback you received from your first speech. Well done, the general evaluator.
Thank you most graciously, Toastmaster Abubakar, for according Toastmaster Adobe that insightful evaluation. Our next evaluator for this evening is Toastmaster Emily Galvez, who will evaluate the speech by our delectable Toastmaster Daphne Fallon. Toastmaster Emily.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator. Daphne, what an enticing introduction. Let me just start off with the introduction and the visuals. You maintained throughout the speech great eye contact. You had a great smile from the beginning. And in the beginning of your speech, you had immediately tag, you're it. Body language, intentional body language. It wasn't just, here, I'm going to flare my hands and here we go, that's it. No, you were poised throughout the beginning of your speech. You asked questions. Who here wants to be a leader? And you let the silence sit still. I want to applaud you for that because it's not very easy on a Zoom call to have the silence linger for a little bit, but you let it sit there. And what I want to say is you did have great eye contact. And as an audience member, that demonstrates great confidence. Duck, run, hide. What I hear in this speech is a story, an evolution, thrusting into leadership. You had it. It was an evolution of Daphne, running away from your destiny, something that I've read in fiction stories, but you captured it very well because you harnessed it in a point and you paced yourself so well. You enunciated every single word, not rushing to get to the next point, but describing your leadership style, which was making it much more magnetic. I felt during the speech, it was a storytelling speech. During the speech, there was a pivot point. I could no longer run from leadership. That was your pivot point because you already knew I am tired. I am already forced into this leadership style. And as an audience member, that embraces me to, ooh, I feel like I've been in her shoes before. I can empathize with her. It is difficult to become a leader when you don't want to be one, but life is funny like that. And yet you're in the leadership style. So you demonstrated communication styles, how everybody benefits when they are all working together to become better leaders. I think you did very well in that. You had good communication, great body language, duck, run, hide, eye contact. You left us with some memorable questions. Who here wants to be a leader? You asked the audience questions, engaging us to think. Because a lot of speakers, what they do, not everybody, is they just talk. But what you did was you gave your storytelling, you asked questions to engage us, to get us out and really focus and pay attention to what you have to say. One of the best quotes that I heard from you was, "The world needs better leaders." And I think that was an excellent way to end your speech. One thing I do want you to work on, you did tell stories on how doing workshops will help you as a leader. Try to include a brief story of a time that you did help somebody become a better leader as a team. A challenge for you would be to include a little bit of vocal variety. Get in there, just be open to trying new vocal variety, but you were clean, precise in your language, and the message was concise as possible. Thank you very much. Back to you, Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you very kindly, Toastmaster Emily, for that very insightful evaluation of Toastmaster Daphne's speech. Well, fellow Toastmasters, I hope you were aware that these evaluations are not just for the benefit of the speakers, but for the benefit of everyone on the call. If you listen to the evaluators, you certainly will pick out one or two things that you can incorporate into your speeches in future. We'll move on quickly to the reports from my other team members. First, we'll start with all right, before we go there, Zoom Master, Mr. Trophy Master. All right, please, all right, great. Mr. Timekeeper, can you please give us the report of the timing of the evaluation from our speech evaluators?
Thank you very much, DTM Chidi. So the two evaluators, they did well. They gave quality feedback to the speakers. TM Abubakar spoke for a whooping 3 minutes and 18 seconds. So he's not qualified to be voted for. TM Garvers spoke for 3 minutes 12 seconds. The two of them actually exceeded the allotted time. Thank you. Here is my report.
Thank you very kindly, Toastmaster Gabriel. Permit me to mention at this point that both evaluators qualified to be voted for. The timing for evaluation is 2 to 3 minutes with a 30 seconds grace period. Both spoke for under 3 minutes, 30 seconds. Thus, they qualified to be voted for. All right, Trophy Master, can we have the poll? So we vote for our preferred evaluator.
Madam General Evaluator, apologies, we can't have the polls due to technical challenges, but I will encourage that we vote through the chat box by sending the evaluator's name, who you think or considered is the best evaluator or the better evaluator. Evaluator Emily Alves and Toastmaster Abubakar Dimba. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you for that update, Trophy Master. Fellow Toastmasters and guests, please utilize the chat box and send your votes to the Trophy Master. If you look at the participant list, you see him named Toastmasters International. He's the host of the meeting, so please send your votes to him. And whilst that is happening, we would move on to get the report from the top team. Right, so we'll start with the R counter. R counter, distinguished Toastmaster Abayomi Ayeshimoju, can you accord us feedback on how we have fared this evening?
General Evaluator, it's time for us to learn how we have accorded with what is expected of us as far as our counting is concerned. I first of all want to say that I've been very impressed trying to count the hours this evening, or I've concluded that indeed you ordered extremely well with the expectations. If I may just say, those who committed 1 or 2 hours, mark you, I listened very carefully. So some of those who committed the hours may not have been aware that they did. But then we had Kubi Uyanga committing an hour, Ejitoko committing an hour, Lucy Chima committed 1 hour. In the case of Val Ade Adaobi, there were some long pauses which I think you should watch. About 5 of them or so. And then Toastmaster Abubakar Gimba, he committed an error. And Emily Galvez committed 3 hours. As I said, I listened very carefully, and this result shows that we really are improving to accord with what we are being told to do or taught to do in Toastmasters when we speak. Thank you very much.
Thank you most graciously, distinguished Toastmaster Abayomi, for that detailed report. Let's move on to our grammarian for this evening. Distinguished Toastmaster Kubi Uyanga, can we please have your report? Distinguished Toastmaster Kubi? It seems network has played a fast one on him. While we wait for him to rejoin the call, Quiz Master, Toastmaster Lucy Chima, can you please give us your report?
Yes. Good evening, everyone. I'm back to the lantern. I have 3 questions I've mapped out for you this evening. The one is the theme of the president's inspirational speech was centered on never to give up. And he mentioned 3 persons who never gave up and became who they are today. Could somebody tell me, mention 1 or 2 of those people which she mentioned?
Tyler Perry and Oprah Winfrey.
Okay, thank you so much. The next one is, I was born alone. I am going to die alone. Who said this during the course of our speech? Pardon? Yes, anyone?
TM Val.
TM Val.
Yes, thank you so much. Which leadership would you like to adopt? Democratic, authoritative, bureaucratic? Who said this during the course of her speech?
Toastmaster Daphne.
Thank you very much. Your listening ability is being rated high. I thank you so much for listening.
Thank you very kindly, Toastmaster Lucy.
General evaluator, yes.
Thank you. Thank you for that report. And thank you so much, fellow Toastmasters and guys, for showing that we certainly listened to our speakers this evening. Mr. Timer, can you please give us a report on how we have fared generally with time this evening? We have the report for the prepared speeches and the evaluation. Can you give us a summary of the report?
She said you just gave us spaghetti, no vegetables. Why?
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator. So as far as the timing is concerned, today's meeting has gone perfectly well because from the report I have, all the speakers spoke within the allotted time and the evaluator as well spoke within the time given to them. Thank you very much.
Thank you most graciously, Toastmaster Gabriel. Welcome back, distinguished Toastmaster Kubi. Apologies, I have to put you on the spot immediately. We would love to get your report as our grammarian for this evening.
All right. Thank you very much, General Evaluator, distinguished Toastmaster Chidi, for giving way immediately I came back into the room. Ladies and gentlemen, my grammarian's report, I'm going to share it as I observed in no particular order, so please humor me. I particularly loved the idiom that was used by the Toastmaster of the day. He went this way: over the veil of years. It made his speech construction very flowery and beautiful. I enjoyed it. I think someone else might have enjoyed that. I also commend the metaphorical noun phrase, jewel in the crown, that was used. Another phrase that was very beautiful was palpable predisposition. And then, now here's a recommendation. I observed one of the speakers use this phrase: your identity is unlike anyone else. Well, that wasn't totally wrong. It would have been better if the speaker had said your identity is unlike anyone else's, to show position. Now, another commendation, someone said, which is palpable and powerful. That was an alliteration, being that there were two consonant sounds adjacent to each other, which made that sentence to sound beautiful. And then there was a wonderful use of triad by one of the speakers who said, strengthening our character, building confidence, and emerging as stronger individuals. What are triads? Triads are when we group things in threes and say them after each other like that. And what do they do for us when we speak? They signify progression, signify completion, and on top of that, they are orally pleasing. Another commendation here, someone said, and then wham, they're done. That was an onomatopoeia which excites and grabs by using the exact sound to explain or pass a message. Someone else said something I thought could be better put, or rather, a speaker said something I thought could be better put. The speaker said, hiding out in the shadows. Now, that sentence, in my own estimation, is contradictory, because hiding and out in the same sentence, well, maybe it could have been better said as hiding in the shadows, and in the opposite usage could be emerging from the shadows. Now, another commendation, the triad 2 could no longer run, duck, or hide. Another commendation by this one was picked from the speech that we watched by Verity Price. She said somewhere along the line, I told myself I had to stop it. Kissing frogs. Of course, that was a metaphorical personification of the frog. And also, okay, There's one more here. I'm not sure if I got it totally right, but this is how I got it. It reads, "Your life is a film, and if you're not enjoying the show, you write a different one." We've come over to the word of the day counts. Very unfortunately, we did not accord the word of the day the attention that it required of us. However, I observed that Toastmaster Craig so they used the word 3 times to my observation. Toastmaster Abayomi Ayeshimoju, distinguished Toastmaster Abayomi Ayeshimoju, used it once to my observation. And I got the division director, our general evaluator, used that word a whopping 5 times, including the verb of the word according. So we give the winner of the word of the day count to distinguished Toastmaster Chidi Chukudi Madu, and also hand control back to her right away. Thank you.
Thank you most graciously, distinguished Toastmaster Kubi, for your detailed report. Now I will give my reports as the general evaluator. Mr. Timer, please put me on the clock, 5 minutes. Wow. I am excited to serve as the general evaluator for Merit Toastmasters meeting. 3 things I loved about today's meeting. Firstly, the structure of the meeting. The structure of today's meeting was refreshingly innovative. The replacement of the table topic segment with the speech review segment is something that I think felt like it was a breath of fresh air. Yes, Toastmasters meeting typically has 3 segments. And you agree with me that we still have 3 segments in today's meeting, but there were no table topics. But we had something innovative to replace table topics, and it gave an opportunity for us to give feedback on the speech by the world champion of public speaking. Who says our feedbacks were not table topics in disguise? But I love that, and I think this is kudos to Merit Toastmasters Club. What this also had helped members do, which I think is what the Vice President Education hoped to achieve, was to present a typical winning speech as a way to spur the interest and encourage members to participate in the international speech contest that is just around the corner. I loved that the Toastmaster of the day was engaging. His enthusiasm was infectious, and you could feel that when all the role players came up, the speakers came up, it was as though he cascaded his enthusiasm to everyone that came before the audience this evening. One thing that I also love was that the meeting started right on the mark. The role players were all in the room, there was music, there were engagement, and the moment it was 4 p.m., the meeting started. For a while now, I've attended Toastmasters meeting, and those meetings will start some minutes after the specified time. But the fact that Merit started right on the clock, I think is something that is commendable. What this shows is that the club has respect for the time of its members. And you know, respect is one of the core values of Toastmasters International. I also love that we had our videos on. A lot of people had their videos on, and it felt that we're all in the same space, even though we've converted our homes and our offices into a Toastmasters meeting ground. I could look at it, I'm seeing people, I'm seeing the look on your faces, I can read your facial expression, and it makes my heart feel warm and fuzzy. So thank you for everyone whose video has been on through the meeting. If your video has not been on, you can go ahead and put your video on and enjoy, just enjoy that feeling of having your video on and seeing the looks on the faces of everyone. I love the preparation, the build up to the meeting. The Vice President Education followed up on me via calls and chats to ensure that I understood the flow of the meeting. What this has done was to ensure that all the role players were on the same page with respect to the organization of the meeting. No one was going to be caught unawares of, and you knew what to do and what to expect in today's meeting. Well done to the executive of Merit Toastmasters Club. 2 recommendations. Now, there were a bit of distraction when the meeting started, and somehow in between, in a virtual space, they are, even outside of virtual meetings, the attention span of a human is very short. And what distractions we do was just terminate the attention of the participant from whoever had control of the virtual lecture. But I loved that the Toastmaster of the day quickly called the attention of the Zoom master to take care of those distractions. And I also encourage us to please use the chat room more often. The chat room is where communication happens. In physical meetings, we could chat and turn and have networking, have physical contact. In virtual meetings, the chat room is where these things happen. So please feel free, use the chat room, drop your commendations or recommendations to the speakers, and generally just chat. To my role players, thank you for being magnificent this evening. Our speakers were on point, and my evaluator embodied the Toastmasters International CRC method. You commended, recommended, and then you commended. Thank you for also personalizing your evaluations. Overall, I've had a beautiful time with Merit Toastmasters. I've taken something away from your meeting, and I appreciate every one of you for according me the opportunity to serve as the general evaluator of today's meeting. Toastmaster Craig, our Toastmaster of the day, you have control of the virtual lecture.
Madam Division Director, thank you most graciously for your constructive, concrete, and compelling evaluation. Ladies and gents, please join me to give her and her team members a rapturous round of applause. Switch on your microphones, everyone. Switch it on, and let's clap. Switch on your microphone. All right, our club is recognized or renowned for its climate of excellence across District 94. And that is why we have the Trophy Master to accord us the awards. Ladies and gentlemen, I will now relinquish control to the Trophy Master to announce the result. He is the Vice President of Education of Tutors and Trainers Toastmasters Club. Toastmaster Francis Hiabi. Francis, are you on the call? Right, before he arrives, let me announce the winner of the What's in the Box Zoom game. What's in the box? I have perused all of the responses in the chat box or chat function. Let's have a look, shall we? Here is the box. I'm gonna open it. So what's inside? Ladies and gents, do you know what's inside? Would you like to see it? It's a rechargeable hair clipper. No one got it. Thank you all very much.
Why would you have a rechargeable hair clipper in the kitchen?
I mentioned in my bathroom, in my bedroom, in my library.
Yes, why library?
Why? You said kitchen as well. Why?
Why library?
This is a rechargeable hair Clipper. Thank you all very kindly for your participation. It has been great. It has been fun, but my time here is done. Before I relinquish control to the president, I'd like to inquire if Francis is back. Francis, are you back? Trophy Master, are you back? Right, perhaps the president would accord him the opportunity to share the results. Let me leave you with a quotation by John Green, an American author. And this quotation is in synchronization with the theme of today's meeting. Never give up. There is hope even when your brain tells you there isn't. Thank you all very kindly today for your time, for your attention, and for your interest. Back to you, Mr. President.
Let's give a resounding hand to the Vice President of Education and Toastmaster of the Day for arranging and hosting such a coruscatingly brilliant meeting. Thank you very much, Toastmaster Craig. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you also for joining us this evening. We're very happy that you are here with us. Very happy to have you with us, Joyce. Happy to have you, Emily. Happy to have you, Rosalind, Unyebuchi, and Daphne. Please do not run off the call after the meeting. You'll have an opportunity to say a few words to us on the call. But I'll give a few announcements before we call the meeting to an end. On the 24th of February, precisely 2 weeks from today, we shall hold our club international speech and evaluations contest, and we invite all of you to, if you've not yet done so as a member and you would like to do so, please indicate your willingness to participate to the Vice President's Education, and you shall be scheduled. And if you'd like to see wonderful speeches, please join us on that day. It's going to be a wonderful, wonderful day and event. And also like to apologize for our trophy master being away without official leave. I suspect he must have had some challenges with his network connection, but the promise is that we shall find out who the winners were and shall present the ribbons to those winners at our next meeting. And also it bears to mention that whenever you win Best Speaker, Best Evaluator, or Best Table Topics on our call, and it's a virtual meeting, rest assured you are going to receive a ribbon if you just show up either at our hybrid meeting, which is usually the second meeting in the month, holding at 17B Molade Okoya Thomas, Christians off Adeni Jones Avenue, or if you'd like to get it earlier than that, just indicate and we shall tell you the address where you can pick it up from. Besides that, of course, gratitude peeled. We are very happy and would like to inform our crave the indulgence of our Vice President's membership to please take over after I round off and, of course, introduce the guests and get them to say a word or two. At this point, I'd like to move a motion for this meeting to be adjourned until the 24th of February 2022. And I would like to get someone to second this motion.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you. Just Mr. Steve.
Yes, my President, I want to strongly second the motion that you have proposed that this meeting be adjourned till 22nd of this month or whatever. So thank you very much. Thank you. Yes.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Steve. So we shall meet again on the 24th of February. But before then, do have yourself a pleasant evening and a wonderful weekend ahead. Toastmaster Ebunda Almeida, please can you take over from here? Thank you very much.
Thank you, President. Good evening once again, everyone. My name is Toastmaster Ebunda Almeida, and I will be doing the, I think the honors of speaking to our dear guests on this call. I can see we have a lot of beautiful, beautiful and very handsome faces. I know some are turned off, some videos are turned off, but then please, if you are a guest, we would like to get to know you better and perhaps just make you acquaintance. So I'm going to start with our speakers that came from, I don't know, was it the Caribbean? As Daphne Follow. Good evening.
Good evening, Abidan. Yes, it's the Caribbean and it's Montserrat in the Caribbean. It's so good to be here. I have been meaning to come to this meeting for quite some time because we've had Toastmaster Craig come to us several times and I finally got here. And boy, did I enjoy the meeting. It was so good. For me, the best part was when you put that speech on and then we got a chance to analyze it. And so we got to hear what other people thought was good about it and where improvements could be made. Because all of that meant that we could translate that into our speeches for the very next time. Wonderful, I absolutely enjoyed it. And I shall be back, maybe not on the 24th, but I will find time to come back another time.
Thank you so much. We enjoyed your speech, and maybe one day very soon we'll also be able to visit your club. Maybe not just virtually, but also probably.
There's a 5-hour time difference.
5
so
hours. Oh, wow.
We start at 6, you'll be coming to us at 11 in the night. That's when Toastmaster Craig comes to us. So we don't mind. You're welcome to come.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So let me quickly look again on this call. We have Adeleke Jesu Sonia. Are you a guest or a Toastmaster?
I'm a guest.
Adeleke, yeah, a guest. Oh, fantastic. Good evening. Welcome to Merry Toastmasters Club. Is this your first time?
This is my first time attending a Toastmaster meeting, and I'm very glad to be here. I think I enjoyed every bit of it, especially the warning that we need to listen. And I think I have a lot of listening to do. Thank you very much.
Yes, I think we learn more of that also here at Toastmasters, and I hope you will join us very, very soon.
Yes, I hope to.
Yes, so we'll try and get your details just before you leave us so that we can have a better correspondence with you. So is there anyone else on this call? Dear guests and friends, let me look through the participants. We have Abigail Okeke. Are you a guest or a Toastmaster? Abigail? Okay, we have Adeshola.
Hi, good evening.
Oh, hi, Abigail. Good evening. Yeah. Are you a guest or a Toastmaster?
I like to be both. But okay, I just became a Toastmaster not too long ago. Yeah.
Okay, so well.
Thank you.
Yeah, so hope you enjoyed today's meeting.
Oh yeah, I joined in late. I was busy at work, but then the part I joined, in fact, I wished I didn't miss 1 minute at all. But then I'll try to be on time next time.
And I hope we'll get to hear your first speech very soon as well.
I hope so. Thank you.
Thank you. So we have Itoro. Itoro, are you a guest of this call?
Good evening, everybody. Yes, I'm a guest.
Oh, good evening. How are you today? Did you enjoy today's meeting?
Thank you. Sorry, I can't enable my video because of the environment. I'm very noisy. So sorry.
No problem, no problem. So hope you enjoyed today's meeting.
Yes, I do.
Okay. So please, you could drop your details on the chat, or you can send a direct message to myself or our president, and then we'll talk to you afterwards, if you don't mind.
Okay, Mom, I'll do that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So we have Izu, IZU. Izu, are you a guest or a Toastmaster? So I'm going to just try and make this fast. I know many of us want to quickly get off the call. So Izu, are you a guest, Toastmaster? Okay. Okay, let's move on to Joyce Ryan. Okay, let's move on.
Can you hear me?
Good evening.
Oh, hi.
Hi.
Good evening.
Oh, I'm not a guest. I'm not a guest.
Oh, yeah, Toastmaster.
I'm a guest.
Oh, yeah, guest. Oh, hi, Joyce. We can see your video. Oh, very lovely lady.
Thank you.
How are you today?
I'm good, thank you very much. I'm in the Caribbean with Miss Stephanie.
Oh, nice to meet you. So are you a Toastmaster yet or not?
No, I'm just a guest.
Okay, that's fantastic.
Hoping after all these meetings, she becomes one. She's in my country.
Hopefully she will join very soon. I'm sure she will pick a lot of things that we will learn from you today. So Joyce, hope you will join very soon.
Thank you. Yes, I'm still learning, but thank you.
You learn by through the activity. That's how you get better. So please join very soon.
Thanks.
Looking forward to hearing you speak. And I'll quickly move on to Christian Oyebuchi. Good, hi, Christian.
Hi, good evening. Hello, can you hear me?
Hi, yeah, hi, Christian. We can hear you. Good evening. Are you a guest of Toastmaster?
Like Miss Abigail said, I'm actually both.
Okay. Both. Yeah, a new Toastmaster.
Yes.
Okay, okay. So I think we will just be we'll be looking forward to your first speech, hopefully.
Okay.
Yes, because you learn by doing, basically. So please try and get ready for your first speech so we can learn from you as well. And if I'm not mistaken, yeah, okay. So thank you, Christian. I think we have one more person on this call, Adeyemo Oluwafemi. Hi, Adeyemo Oluwafemi. Are you a guest of Toastmaster?
Yeah, good evening, please.
Good evening. Yes, we can hear you. But you're a bit muffled.
Yeah, I said I'm actually a guest.
You're a guest. Did I hear that correctly?
Yes.
Okay, hi, welcome. Did you enjoy today's meeting?
Yes, I really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Okay, so I think we've come to the end of this segment, but please for our dear guests, we would like you to also get the opportunity to become better speakers, which is what Mary Toastmasters, which is what Toastmasters does for all of us to get better at our leadership and public speaking skills. So please, if you've not filled the form, you could just send a direct message with your email and phone number, and then we could take it from there. And I think that's where we'll draw the curtain. So to our president, DTM Kubi, I'd like to hand over the virtual lectern to you now. DTM Kubi. Okay, so, well, I think our president is off the call at the moment. But would anybody like to say anything before we call it a night?
Yes, I would. But it's not something standard.
Okay.
There was a young lady who spoke before me. She swayed quite a bit, and I wanted to give a tip for staying still. Now, when she stood while she was presenting. When you stand, in order to keep yourself from swaying that much, something that ladies tend to do a lot. If you stand with your feet shoulder width apart, toes faced forward, it's really difficult to sway to the side. And that should help to keep people stationary and looking poised when they're standing to deliver. And it's especially important for ladies who tend to stand with their feet to the side, and then you tend to sway over, or you stand on one leg, and then you can't stand on one leg all the time. So then you switch to the other one. But if you stand feet with toes straight forward, shoulder width apart, excellent. You then appear really poised when you stand to deliver.
Okay, thank you. I think I can also learn from that tip. I tend to sway as well. Thank you.
Pass it on to the other young lady as well, if she's not in the meeting right now, or even to the other ladies in the club. You know, when we're standing, we don't really want to look like we're.
I understand. Thank you so much. That's a
Okay.
wonderful tip. So, dear Toastmasters.
Thank you, everybody. I beg to leave.
You're very well excused at this moment. So please, our dear guests, don't forget, we would love to have your details so that we can reach out to you. And to those who joined us from various parts of the world and from Montserrat, which happens to be a font that I never knew.
It's called Montserrat. Yes, it's a font. It's a Toastmasters font.
Yeah. Yeah. So hopefully maybe one day we'll find ourselves on your, I assume it's an island.
It's an island. On the 16th, we're having our club contest, so you're welcome to attend. Okay, it's gonna be a little late, but you can put on your nightie, go into your bed and watch.
That'll be fantastic. Thank you so much for that invitation. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Toastmasters. Thank you, friends. And so this is where we draw the curtain on today's Toastmasters meeting. And I wish you all, I know Valentine's Day is just around the corner. Yeah. So I wish you a very beautiful and enjoyable Valentine's Day.
Thank you.
So bye-bye, everyone.
I will send the invitation to Toastmaster Craig, who will pass it on to the rest of you.
Thank you very kindly for adding color to our meeting today. Thanks to everyone.
Bye for now. Bye.
Bye, Toastmaster Victoria Shomade.
Yeah.
Greetings, ma'am. Long time it has been.
Yes, I'm back. I'm back.
Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Joycey.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye for now.
Ma, we should see more of you. We've missed you.
Yes, I'm back now. Thank you.
Okay.
Right.
So Alphonsus Itoro, Adeleke Jesu Sonia, please, I've not yet gotten your details before you drop off the call. We really love to. And okay, Abigail is she's in our team now. So who else? I've not called. So Ms. Adeleke, please. I've not gotten your details yet. Okay.
We're together. Married Toastmasters.
Yes, Abigail. So please, we are getting ready for your icebreaker that you're going to shatter.
I've not heard from President Kubio. I'm not prepared in any way.
No, you will. Don't worry. I'm going to reach out to you. I'll reach out to you shortly after this call.
Okay.
Don't worry. You'll be fine. So we're already rooting for you and waiting for your first speech. So Alphonsus, did I get that name correctly? Itoro. Okay, I think he has dropped off the call. Mr. Del, okay, okay. I've seen your details. Okay, let me just copy this out. That's for Mr. Itoro.
Hello, Abigail. I'm delighted you attended today's meeting. Abigail, KK.
Hi, good evening.
Jolly good evening. Jolly good evening.
From a jolly good fellow.
Oh yeah, I suppose you relished today's meeting.
Oh yeah, I did. Like I said earlier, I came late. I entered late, but then the remaining part I really enjoyed, and I look forward to more.
Right. I'm delighted to see you here today. Razak Odejayi. Adeleke and Alphonsus. All right, take care, everyone.
All right, thank you very much. It's good to be
here.
Bye.
Right.
Oh, wonderful. So I think I will. Okay, so I think